about something that has been coming up very strongly lately. And there's been some really tangible examples and kind of just experiments in which we've been able to either use discernment or we have forgotten to use discernment. So I want to just start by talking about this word and what does this mean? What does it mean to you? So I'm curious if you want to let me know in the comments below, what does discernment or to discern mean to you? Are you currently using this as a tool in your life? Let's start with a couple of the examples that have shown up on social media in the past 2 to 3 months. The first is the blackout, the black squares that everyone was posting on their Instagram feeds, or even as profile photos, or as on their Facebook. Just all of our social media is blackout squares, and meant to be in support of Black Lives Matter, but it ended up really losing its intended meaning, and the who created it got lost, and all of a sudden all of our feeds were 100% filled with black square, black square, black square, black square, and we weren't seeing any of the actual content around Black Lives Matter. Then we saw this thing that was a black and white, women empowering women, women supporting women trend. I got a handful of these in my inbox. So it was clearly a copy and pasted message from, wherever they had gotten it from. And it was just a challenge to post a black and white photo of yourself that was about supporting each other as women. Well, it turns out that was not what this black and white photo challenge was actually about. It was actually about women being murdered every single day in Turkey. And so there was a deeper story to that again got lost. And then this past weekend, these are just examples that I've been seeing in my life that have shown up on my newsfeed. And this is something, last year, I'm sure I probably talked about the Lionsgate portal, and on August 8th every year. And then it was brought to my attention that there was a different meaning behind the Lionsgate portal than what everyone was posting about on social media, and everyone's meditating and doing these rituals and ceremonies, and the Lionsgate portal is open today. And as I learned from the astronomy perspective, I realized that that wasn't even true, and that there is certainly something called the Lionsgate portal, but then there's this mix of information around it is half true, it can be good and bad, and there's another perspective that's this is dark energy, this was made up, this is from occult created by occult groups that want to control the narrative, all this shit. Okay, all this shit. I don't have to go into more detail about either of these 3 examples. Hopefully you have already caught on that maybe you participated in one of these 3 things. And I'm not saying it's bad that you participated, but did you use discernment? Did you stop and pause and think, why am I participating? What is the intention? Let's do a little research behind this. Maybe it's okay to ask some questions. Maybe I want to think critically before I take action or move forward or jump on a bandwagon. And so now I want to share with you, I have literally Google searched discernment, and a bunch of these different definitions are popping up, and I just want to share them with you so that we can really start to think about what is this discernment, and how can we start to turn the volume up on our discernment, whereas what I've been seeing is a lot of sheep being herded, and a lot of groupthink, and a lot of bandwagon jumping, and a lot of, well, she did it, so I'm going to do it. She did it, I trust her, I look up to her, And so I'm going to do it. So even the people that you look up to and you trust and you are role models on social media doesn't mean that just because they are preaching something that you don't have to do critical thinking. There's still an opportunity for you to have critical thinking and to discern. So to discern means the ability to judge well. It is the quality of being able to grasp and comprehend what is obscure. That to me is important because there's also this quote image over here that says discernment is not simply a matter of telling the difference between right and wrong. Rather, it is the difference between right and almost right. It's not saying this is right, this is wrong, this is black, this is white. It's going, women empowering women is a good thing. I'm on board with that. But wait. There was something to me when I got those messages in my inbox that was like, I used discernment. I used my intuition on top of that. And I felt like there's something just a little weird about this. Something feels a little off. It wasn't wrong. It just wasn't quite right. And that's an example of using your discernment. Discernment is the ability to obtain sharp perceptions or to judge well or the activity of doing so. It can be psychological, moral, or aesthetic in nature. It is the ability to decide between truth and error. Let's see. Defined as the ability to notice the fine point details, the ability to judge something well or the ability to understand and comprehend something. Noticing the distinctive details in a painting and understanding what makes art good and bad is a simple example of discernment. And I would even argue not what makes art good and bad, but like, can you form your own opinion on the art by using discernment versus someone telling you that's good and worth $30,000, that painting, and this is shit and it's not worth anything. Well, can you discern for yourself like what you see beauty in or what you find to be beautiful? Discernment is an ongoing process, a stance towards life. A discerning disciple has the attitude or intention to seek the presence, wisdom, and compassion of the... It got cut off. That sentence is cut off. So it's attentive, it's noticing. And the reason I want to talk to you all about this as empath and empath leaders is that as empaths, we have this natural quality to be able to feel into the subtle emotions, qualities, feelings, sensations, physical symptoms of ourselves and of the world. You're naturally good at this, but have you turned the volume up on it, or has it become a habit that you've turned the volume down and you're no longer thinking for yourself or listening to your intuition or questioning things? Because questioning things, there's a healthy relationship that you can have to questioning even the people who you love and trust most as role models on social media. To your relationship with me, I want you to make your own decision in this conversation and to discern what feels right, what feels true to you. Going back to that quote, like the difference not just between right and wrong, but what's right and almost right. You don't have to flat out disagree with someone, and instead maybe you're like, yeah, and, or yeah, but, or have we considered this? We've lost a lot of our critical thinking as a society, and this is like my call for us to bring it back. And to be able to use our whole body listening as an empath to be really fucking good at it. Because you can be. If you just turn that volume back up on your discernment. And as a leader, an empath leader, this is required if you want to be a leader on New Earth. If you want to step into a new way of leadership and of being on this planet, you're going to have to activate and turn the volume up on your discernment. We can no longer just I mean, arguably we could never just sit back and go, okay, like someone else is going to tell me what's right and what's wrong. Or just to follow the leader without any questioning, critical thinking, using and activating your intuition. So the empath leader is the person who uses their whole body and their intuition to listen, but also activates and turns the volume up on their discernment. And they're not afraid to go against the grain, to put the first step out into a new path that no one's ever paved before. I talk a lot about how being a leader is also living in the edges of your comfort, because sometimes it's very uncomfortable and very vulnerable to go against the grain or to use your discernment to realize, I'm not 100% on board with that. And then to actually question things when everyone else is doing it a different way. But there's a beauty in this. There is an honor in this. It's something that I look up to in other empath leaders of the world on this planet. The courage, the bravery, the compassion it takes to use this discernment to be able to navigate our spiritual truth, our political truth, our personal truth, the truth about the world and the climate, everything. So if nothing else, I just want you to pause today and ask, have I been using my personal discernment? And if not, how can I become more self-aware to start to turn that volume back up? To ask questions. To have the courage to go against the grain when that feels like that's what's right in your gut, in your heart, in your mind, or your higher self. And if you are looking for support in doing that, then the Empath Leaders membership is open. And one of the other components of being a embodied, discerning leader is knowing yourself. Deeply, deeply knowing and trusting yourself, trusting your intuition to be able to make those discerning decisions. But if we don't take the time to get to know ourselves and to debunk our limiting beliefs and to look at some of the patterns, behaviors, and themes in our life, or subconscious programs that are literally guiding and driving the show, then as a natural byproduct, we fall back into the groupthink and the sheep and the herd. And instead, when we take that time back, we take the step back to do the inner work, it changes your outer world and allows you to be a more critical thinker because you know yourself. When you know yourself, you can make your opinions about the world a whole lot easier, that are uniquely authentically your decisions and your opinions, not just what someone's telling you to do, to think, to say. And so inside Empath Leaders, we have the opportunity every week to do this work so that we can have discernment and so that we can step into our leadership role so that we can get more comfortable in the edges of the comfort. Yeah, it's not going to all be roses because you have to look at your shadow to be able to integrate it back into the light. But there's also an amazing opportunity here. And on the other side is deep joy, pleasure, grace, and ease. And probably more than anything, just this deep fulfillment. It feels so fucking good. The doors are only open for a couple more days. We close August 15th for Empath Leaders membership. Every month you get 3 live calls, and it's ever growing and ever evolving inside. The people inside are just blow my mind. This is my most favorite thing. I'm obsessed with it. We have breathwork, we have healing sessions, we have group coaching. This is an opportunity not to just hear what I have to say, but to figure out what you think for yourself. What you think for yourself. So please, if anything, again, take that message home with you today. If you'd like to join the Empath Leaders membership, I'll drop the link below, and I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day. Turn the volume up on your discernment.